I'm going.
I'll be here.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another day of another episode of Today in Quarantine. I'm your host, Renee Cross, coming to you live from Lincoln, Nebraska. That's right, everybody, in the center of the United States, the Cornhusker Nation, they call it. I refuse to buy any Cornhusker gear, by the way, because I don't know. I haven't become that Nebraskan yet, but I have had Runzas and scooters, so there we go. Today in quarantine, just more of the same, because is life getting any more interesting? Not really, not from inside my house, it's not. But I finished up the video for the most part for the Illinois conference, so I'm super excited to get that out and see how their virtual camporee goes. That'll be exciting. And yeah, Zoom meetings, planning, lots of planning. Yeah, it's pretty much been my day the past couple hours. Recorded that video with Jovan and had a good time doing it. Pretty fun. So yeah, that's kind of been my day so far. Today, the weather is kind of interesting. It's warm outside. However, there's a very strong wind, which is very cold. So it kind of puts a damper on things. But today, I'm going to talk about something that my roommate and I were talking about not too long ago. We were talking about, and she was actually giving me an idea to talk about for this podcast. She'll be on this podcast very soon. But we were talking about the reward of animals and having animals and what they teach you. As I've talked about on here before, we have two cats. They're actually my roommate's cats. I told my students that I have cats, but they're my roommate's cats. And one of my students said, "Oh, then they're your step cats." So I call them my step cats, but with a lot of love. My step cats and my roommate and I chill out. Actually, you can see one of them right there. That's Percy. And then the other one is Peep. And she's chilling somewhere over there. And they are two very different animals. Percy is kind of loud, kind of fat. And yeah, he loves to just like meow for no reason. Just talk. And he's very finicky as well. He doesn't like to, he loves like cuddling with you, but he does not like to be picked up sometimes. Like sometimes, we go to pick him up and instead of being like, "Oh yes, love," he's like, and he just fights it and he runs away. He's a very interesting cat. He meows quite a lot, like I said. The other cat, Peep, is very quiet. I don't think she has a voice box because whenever she talks or meows, she's just like, and it's not like an actual meow. She's very interesting like that. So most of the time she's quiet, and she's off by herself. So that's kind of those two cats and their personalities. And so one of the things that we were talking about is how it's rewarding to be a pet owner instead of being like a parent or something. It's a little bit less responsibility, but you still get to figure out why, like the emotions and the why behind parenting and being in charge of something, because you're helping these little creatures, which are basically helpless. I mean, these are very smart cats. One of them has figured out how to open my door. They figure out how to do things like, I don't even know what they do, but they're very smart. They're very intelligent animals. But we still have to help them do things because for one reason, they're very smart and we keep their food very close to where they eat, but they've never gone in the bag to get the food out of the bag for themselves. We still have to like take the food out of the bag to feed them. They're very interesting that way. So interesting times to think about that. So we have to help these little creatures that are very helpless, and sometimes um, they think that they know what's best. For example, every day around we feed them around like 7:30 in the morning or so, maybe a little bit later. But every morning they try and like get us to feed them earlier. So if it's like 7 and we haven't gotten up to feed them yet, they're like all over us and they're like, "Hey, get up, come feed us." And as soon as we feed them, then they shut up and they stop talking. But sometimes it gets to a point where they're they're just really, really loud. Maybe if we're slept in or something, they're super, super, super loud. And they're just like, give us our food. And it's actually really funny because Percy will do all the talking, of course, and Peep will just kind of sit there. But as soon as like we start walking towards, one of us starts walking towards their food, then she gets up and she's like, oh, okay, I guess it's time now. But I've never seen her really advocate for herself in terms of food. But yeah, we have to like help out these creatures, and so it's just interesting to have to take care of something like that. I'm glad I don't have to like homeschool them like some parents are doing right now, or teach them how to do things. They actually, if I'm right, I think cats are taught things by their mother by the time that they're a certain amount of weeks old, and then they just know these things like where to use the litter box or to use a litter box. Their mom teaches them that. So dogs, they don't do that. Dogs, you have to teach them everything, and hopefully they learn. That's why I'm not a dog person. I'm now kind of a cat person, but I used to not be, but now I am. So yeah, just think about that. It's actually very interesting, just kind of the way that we can relate to God, to life, and how we're taking care of these animals that can't take care of themselves, but that they think that they can take care of themselves. Because if we try and give these cats a bath, my roommates tried to give them a bath, and it does not work. Cats don't like water, but they try and clean up themselves. But sometimes they need a bath, you know. So we're always trying to figure out how to be the caregivers, and yeah, it just reminds me of God in that way. So there you go. It's a little thought for you in terms of your quarantine. But discombobulated. I'll have to write that down and make it more interesting. Or I'll tell my roommate to write it down because she's pretty good at words. So there you go. And there he goes now. It's an interesting character. All right. So, like I said, today's weather here in Lincoln is kind of cloudy, but windy, kind of warm. It's a very interesting day. I think I'm going to go out later, but I don't know. It'll either be a very fast bike ride or a very slow bike ride because the wind will be blowing in either direction. Or I might catch it on the good side and, maybe ride against the wind or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But today I am planning on planting some of my seedlings into my garden, which I'm super excited about. And we'll see how they fare out there. My cucumbers have just all about died. So that's disappointing. My onions are growing a little bit. I have some spinach, I think, that's growing, and an eggplant that's growing. So we'll see what happens with those. But yeah, it's almost the end of April. Tomorrow's the last day of April. Can you believe it? Just been so crazy. It's been a very crazy time. When you think about the past couple months, I've been thinking about the fact this is my first year teaching, my first full year teaching, and it's just not at all how I saw it would go, how I thought it would go. Not at all. And that's okay. Yeah. We are here to make the most of things. There's just one more thing we've got to make the most of. So let's try it out. Okay. All right, so now is the time for our dad jokes. Thinking about one of the things I've been thinking about is things that I've been scared of, and I have a fear of speed bumps, but it's okay. I'm slowly getting over it. Oh man, I also had a fear of elevators, but I've started taking steps to avoid it. Oh boy. Okay, I thought those were funny. Those were pretty good. Here's one. My grandfather at my grandmother's funeral, and the family friend said, "Hey, are you all right?" And the grandfather said, "No, I'm half left." Actually, that same funeral, there was a woman who stood up, or she wanted to go ask, say some words. When they opened up the floors, does anybody want to say anything about this person who's here? And so she got up and she went up to the front and she said, "Plethora," and then she sat down. Afterwards, the grandfather, went over to her and said, "Thanks. It means a lot." Oh boy. Yeah. So there you go. There's a couple dad jokes for you. Oh boy. Oh man. All right. One more. What is Whitney Houston's favorite type of coordination? Hand-eye. Oh boy. Yeah. So there's some dad jokes to you. Take this dad joke to someone and share it with them, and then let me know how they react. Do they laugh? Do they do all of the above? Do they not get it? Because that's a Friday night joke, and I'll explain Friday night jokes on Friday. So yeah, definitely enjoy those. All right. Well, thanks guys for watching. Have a great day, and yeah, stay safe, live well. Have a good one.